Hi, friends. Today I want to share a new story with you. I hope you enjoy it. The restaurant smelled like old cooking oil and past memories. As I stood in the middle of the quiet dining room, I saw how worn everything looked, the scratched tables, the faded checkered floor, and the flickering neon open sign that hadn't welcomed anyone in for weeks. Delicious homemade food, the place my parents had built from nothing, was falling apart, and I had just bet everything I had to try to save it. "Jessica, this is crazy," my mom said from the kitchen doorway. Her hands held a stained apron, and her face was tight with worry. "You had a good job, a life in Los Angeles, why give it all up?" I raised the folder I was holding. Inside was every dollar I'd made from selling my condo, all my savings, and my plan to fix the restaurant. "Because if I don't help, no one else will." She sighed and shook her head. "Your father thinks this is a big mistake." "I'm sure he does." I looked toward the counter where my dad was sitting, staring down. His silence said more than any words. Then he finally spoke. "Jessica, this is a big risk. What if it fails?" I crouched beside him and looked him in the eyes. "Then I'll live with it, but at least I'll know I tried. I can't just watch this place fall apart. Dad, it's worth saving." And the hard work started right away. The kitchen was a mess, greasy stoves, old food in the freezer, and a menu that hadn't changed in years. The staff looked tired and worn out, like they were just going through the motions. The next morning, I stood at the counter and talked to the team. "I won't lie to you," I said, meeting their eyes. "This place is hanging by a thread, but I believe we can fix it." Maria, the head waitress, crossed her arms. "How?" "Most of the town already gave up on us. By proving we're worth another chance," I said. "We'll have a new menu, better service, and a fresh look. It won't be easy, but I promise it'll be worth it." Some people murmured, unsure, but no one walked away. The next few days were tough. I got there before sunrise to clean the kitchen, organize the pantry, and test recipes. At night, I stayed late to paint the walls and add brighter lights. Maria found me sweeping the floor at midnight. "Jessica, you're working yourself too hard." "I have to," I said, sweeping faster. "If we don't turn this around, we lose everything." By Friday night, we launched the new menu, with fresh, local food and fun updates to our old dishes. At first, a few people showed up carefully, but by the end of the night, we had more customers than we'd seen in weeks. After the last guest left, Maria came over. "You might actually do this, boss." I smiled, even though I was so tired. "It's a beginning." But as I locked the doors, a strange feeling crept in. Even with all the progress, something felt wrong, like trouble was on the way. I had a bad feeling that saving the restaurant might cost more than I expected. The restaurant was full of life again. Every table was busy, the smell of fresh bread filled the air, and laughter bounced off the walls. Delicious homemade food was back. I should have felt proud. But instead, I felt uneasy, like something bad was coming. "Jessica, can I talk to you?" My younger brother Ralph was at my office door. He looked sharp, too sharp for someone who never helped with the restaurant. "Sure," I pointed to the chair, but he stayed standing, fidgeting. "I've been thinking," he said, not looking at me, "about the future of the restaurant." "What about it?" "Well, Mom and Dad want me to be the new CEO. They think I should be in charge." His words hit me like a slap. I blinked, not believing what I was hearing. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "What?" "Look, I know you've worked hard, but they think I'm better for the role. You're more hands-on, more operational." "Operational?" My voice shook with disbelief. "Ralph, I've put everything into this place. I saved it from failing, and now they want you, someone who's barely been here, to take over?" Ralph ran a hand through his perfect hair, guilt flashing across his face. "It's not personal, Jess, they just trust me with the bigger picture." Dinner that night was awkward. I sat at the far end of the table, not hungry at all. My parents kept exchanging looks as Ralph smugly carved the chicken. "Jessica," my father finally said, breaking the silence, "we're grateful for everything you've done, but this is a family decision. Ralph has the vision to take us further." I stared at him, my voice cold. "And what about the vision that saved us? What about the sacrifices I made?" Mom sighed and patted my hand like I was a child. "You'll still be a big part of the team, dear, but Ralph is." "Ralph is what?" I snapped, pulling my hand away. "Inexperienced? Irresponsible? He doesn't care about this place like I do." Ralph leaned back with a smirk. "Relax, Jess, I'm not kicking you out." I left the table before dessert, my chest tight with anger. Standing in the empty dining room, I looked at everything I'd rebuilt, my dream, my hard work, my money, all handed over to someone who hadn't earned it. As I locked up for the night, Maria caught me at the door. "You okay, boss?" I forced a smile. "Fine, just tired." But inside, I knew this wasn't just a betrayal, it was a declaration of war. The for sale sign was crooked in front of the abandoned building, peeling from neglect. I parked across the street, gripping the wheel like letting go would send me spiraling. It was reckless, impulsive, everything I wasn't. And yet, something about this old building called to me. The realtor was late, giving me time to doubt myself. I pulled out my notebook, flipping through sketches I had made late last night, clean, eco-friendly, inviting. This wasn't just going to be a restaurant, it was going to be my restaurant. When the realtor arrived, she was all business. "Miss Palmer, I should warn you, the building needs a lot of work. The last owner—" "I'll take it," I interrupted, surprising both of us. "You haven't even seen the inside," she said, raising an eyebrow. I looked at the cracked windows and rusty fire escape. "I've seen enough." The first week of renovations was a blur of noise and dust. Contractors argued over blueprints while I paced the empty room, glued to my phone. "I'm sorry, Jessica," my father's voice crackled. "We can't support this. It feels like you're trying to compete with the family business." "Compete?" I laughed bitterly. "You made your choice, Dad. I'm making mine." He sighed, the sound heavy and final. "You're on your own." The pressure was crushing, but it pushed me harder. Late one night, I sat with Maria, my most loyal worker, over takeout in what would soon be the kitchen. "You're really doing this, huh?" she asked, popping a fry into her mouth. "Yep," I said, staring at the empty walls. "The healthy eating, fresh, farm to table, no shortcuts, no compromises." Maria grinned. "I like it, you always dreamed big. And now I have no choice but to make it work." She studied me for a moment. "What if Ralph comes crawling back?" I met her gaze, my voice steady. "Then he'll see what he lost." By opening day, word had spread. The healthy eating was sleek and polished, the opposite of the family restaurant. When the first guest walked in, I stood nervously by the door, but then they took a bite, smiled, and whispered to their companion, "This place is going to change everything." And for the first time in months, I believed it. The call came during dinner service. My phone buzzed in my pocket, and I ignored it, focusing on plating a dish for the chef. But the buzzing wouldn't stop. When I saw my mother's name, my stomach dropped. She never called unless something was wrong. "Jessica, you need to come home." Her voice cracked, full of panic. "What's going on?" I stepped out into the alley behind the restaurant. The noise from the dining room faded behind me. "It's Ralph," she said. "The business is failing. We need your help." Delicious homemade food looked so different. It used to be full of life, with laughter and fresh bread filling the air. Now, the place felt empty, the tables were bare, and the decor was tired. My parents sat near the kitchen, looking worn out. Ralph was next to them, not meeting my eyes. "This place used to feel alive," I said, breaking the silence. My dad cleared his throat. "That's why we called you. We know things have been tough between us, but—" "Not tough?" I interrupted, my voice sharp. "You gave Ralph everything I worked for, and now, after he messed it all up, you want me to fix it?" "Jess, it's not like that," Ralph said defensively. "Things just got complicated, okay? The market's tough." I turned to him, not believing what I was hearing. "Complicated, Ralph? This isn't about the market. It's about you not listening when I warned you." "We made a mistake," my mom said quietly, looking at me with pleading eyes. "But the restaurant is our family's legacy. We need your help to save it." I walked through the kitchen, seeing the mess, low inventory, bad equipment, and a staff that looked defeated. It wasn't just about the business. It was about the people who had worked here for years, the people I cared about. "You've put me in a terrible spot," I said, rejoining my family in the dining room. "We'll give you full control," my dad said. "Whatever you need, it's yours." I shook my head, jaw tight. "No, you can't use me as a backup plan every time Ralph fails. I won't fix your mistakes. You have to face the consequences." As I left the restaurant, Ralph called out after me, sounding desperate. "Jessica, wait." I stopped, barely turning to look at him. "I didn't mean for things to get this bad," he said. "I'm sorry." I thought for a second, then looked him in the eye. "Sorry doesn't fix this, Ralph, actions do." And with that, I walked away. leaving them to deal with their choices, knowing I had made mine. The applause was deafening as I stepped onto the stage to accept the Green Plate Award for the healthy eating. The restaurant had become a city favorite, talked about for its innovative, conscious dining. Cameras flashed, and reporters rushed for interviews, but my mind was on where I'd been just a year ago, about to lose everything to my family's betrayal. When the host handed me the award, my phone vibrated. A text. My heart sank as I read it. "We're closing the restaurant. Please come, Dad isn't well." Delicious homemade food looked worse than I expected. The lights were off, and the open sign was turned to closed, for good. Inside, my parents sat at a corner table. My dad looked sick, and Ralph paced nervously by the counter. "Jessica," my mom began, standing when I walked in, "we didn't know how else to reach you." "What do you want from me now?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. My dad spoke weakly. "We failed you, Jess. I failed you. I should have understood what you were trying to do for the family, but I was too proud to admit I was wrong." I studied his face. He seemed smaller, worn down by his regrets. "We want to sell you the restaurant," Ralph said quickly. "It's the only way to pay off the debts." I stared at him. "You think I want this place after everything you've done?" "It's not just about saving the restaurant," my mom begged. "It's about saving us." The papers were signed a week later. My conditions were clear: full ownership, no family interference. I didn't plan to keep delicious homemade food open, but as I walked through it one last time, I saw something unexpected. The staff had stayed. They believed in the place, even when Ralph had failed them. One by one, they came to me with ideas for bringing the restaurant back. Against my better judgment, I agreed to give it a try. But on my terms. 6 months later, delicious homemade food reopened as The Revival, a cozy bistro with a modern twist. The opening wasn't as big as the healthy eatings, but it was heartfelt. My family didn't come to the opening. And I didn't expect them to. The healthy eating and The Revival both thrived. But more importantly, I thrived. In regaining my independence, I found something even better. A legacy built not just on success, but on the courage to walk away and let go. Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.